Number 6 from the Vestron collection is Lair of the White Worm, released in 1988 and directed by Ken Russell. If you've seen anything else that Ken Russell did, then you know what to expect. But if you haven't, then strap in, because this isn't your typical 80s horror film. Lair of the White Worm is a vampire-ish mystery type film that is filled with British humor. The movie is loosely based on the book by the same title, written by Bram Stoker, the same guy who wrote Dracula. So essentially, Ken Russell just took the idea of Lair of the White Worm and added a little hint of Dracula and created his own story. We start off with Angus Flint, an archaeologist, picking up this large, oddly shaped skull that he found while he was excavating at a bed and breakfast owned by Mary and Eve Trent. The sisters invite him to a party later that night where he learns about this mythological snake that was killed in a cavern centuries ago by a guy named John Dampton. Angus then gets to meet James Dampton, a distant relative of John. And after James tells him a little brief backstory on the subject, Angus tells him about his recent discovery and jokes about a possible connection. After the party, Mary and Angus are walking home. They end up taking a way that Mary doesn't like to take alone, especially because a year prior, her parents were taking the exact same path after coming home from a local pub, and they just completely vanished. They then notice this mysterious car heading towards a deserted mansion. Now Mary's getting scared, so they hurry back to her place. When they finally arrive, there's an officer waiting for them. He hands Mary this box that ends up having her father's watch in it and says it was found in the Stone Rick Cavern. The officer then tells him that he's going to continue the search in the morning, and as he's getting ready to leave, Mary lets him know about that suspicious car they saw. The officer then goes to check out the mansion. As he's calling for backup, he ends up getting bit by a snake, and this lady comes out of nowhere and has him come inside. That lady ended up being the owner, but she's been out of town for quite some time. Her name is Sylvia Marsh. She ends up helping out the officer by sucking out the venom and just tossing a band-aid on it. She then questions why the officer was on her property. He explains Mary saw her driving, then he talks about the search party in the cavern, and then Angus's discovery. This is when you find out Sylvia's not really human. She's more of a vampire-like snake that worships the White Worm. I won't spoil much more of this film if you haven't seen it yet, but at this point of the story, things start to get really wild. You'll experience acid trip type dreams, seductions, nudity, and plenty more. I'm not gonna lie, the first time I saw this film, I wasn't that big of a fan. But after I watched it a second time, I understood the story better, and now I enjoy it way more. Plus, the casting is great. You have Hugh Grant, Peter Capaldi, Amanda Donahoe, and several others. I would rate Lair of the White Worm at a 3.5 out of 5 gems. Have you seen Lair of the White Worm? If so, what did you like or not like about it? If not, are you willing to give it a watch? Let me know in the comments, and I'll see you on the next